The archetypal postures that I learned from Philip Beach, the osteopath from New Zealand, they've been really integral in just giving me back my knees and my feet. I'm, again, like I've posted before, I'm super hypermobile. I've had tight, really flat feet my whole life. A lot of sort of valgus strain on my knees. I've thrown this knee out a couple times. I was looking at surgery potentially. It seemed pretty hopeless, even though I've trained in Pilates gyrotonic, Yamana body rolling, core movement integration, which is a Feldenkrais-based technique, all sorts of other things to try to make sense of this. But Philip Beach's work around the archetypal postures, it really helped me to understand the importance of getting down on the ground. My only problem with that is because I'm so loose and my nervous system, my myofascial chains are really what are holding me together, I can't sit in a position for longer than maybe 20, 30 seconds without something starting to bind. So I took his archetypal postures and I basically made them all oscillate. So what I want to do in this is I want to take an exercise from gyrotonic called Seaweed. It actually predates gyrotonic. It's from gyrokinesis, the mat-based method of gyrotonic. So it basically involves a stool and a mat. And what we're doing is we're basically, instead of finding a static center seat, I guess center meaning evenly weighted sits bones, we're going to be taking that seat and we're going to sort of be drawing little figure eights around it with our body so that that seat becomes, instead of a static seat, it becomes a dynamic one. I'm still measuring range. I'm still checking sort of consistency, tempo. Is my weight shift and my spiral slow, soft, and smooth? So that it's not a sloppy motion. It's very much kind of a predetermined tracking that we can use to measure how open or lack thereof we are in all of these archetypal postures. So in order to find this, this seaweed oscillation or the oscillation base for all the archetypal postures, we're first going to start with, let's come to our right sits bone, and I want you to roll your right hip forward and turn your heart away, and then you're going to fall onto your left sits bone. Your left seat rolls forward, turns the heart to the right, and you fall to the right. You push and you fall. So push and fall, push and fall. So you'll notice that we're kind of getting this push off, push off. And really what I'm doing is I'm basically, if I just gave it a little more oomph, I'd basically be walking in my pelvis, right? We're just staying somewhat stationary, but oscillating within that motion. So when we do any of the archetypal postures, whether it be the seiza with the foot opener, the dorsiflexed kneeling, the full squat, where we push off and we undulate, the cowboy stretch. Cowboy stretch is a little different because it's coming forward and backwards, but there's still an oscillation in that stretch. Whenever we're doing these rocking motions, that allows us to sort of get a dynamic scan of how to deepen and deepen and deepen into that spiral stretch while staying somewhat engaged and not just collapsing into it, so that we're really keeping the tissue engaged while we lengthen it. And that's really what gave me back my knees, my feet, which helped my hips and my low back all the way up and through. So that is what I use as the base, this sort of rough gyrotonic seaweed. Gyrotonic teaches it on a plane, on a fixed plane. I teach it with more of a spiral of the sternum so that it becomes a little more locomotive in its theory. But that I find to be the cleanest way to use the archetypal postures in a strength building, yet simultaneously opening choreography.